Have you ever really stopped to think that, well, maybe every single thing you say or do or even think starts from just one place, one uh, powerful force we barely notice?
Mm.
And what if understanding that force is actually the key to, your destiny?
It's a huge question, isn't it? And it's not just philosophy. This very idea, it's profoundly central in the Buddhist teachings.
Right.
For people following this path, cultivating a good mind, a clear mind, it's not just like a helpful tip, it's everything.
Yeah.
The whole journey away from suffering is really centered on the mind.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're drawing from this really illuminating discourse by a highly respected Sayadaw, a senior monk. It's called The Mind is Your Destiny.
That's the one from the Dhamma Library channel.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to try to unpack some, well, maybe surprising insights and some really practical stuff for your daily life from this ancient wisdom.
Sounds good.
So let's start right at the foundation. If the mind is so central, just how central are we talking? What's the bedrock principle here?
Okay, the absolute foundational principle is summed up in this Pali phrase. Manopubangama Dhamma.
Manopubingama.
Samogama Dhamma, okay.
Yeah. And it essentially means all phenomena, everything you experience, your entire reality, it's led by the mind.
Not just influenced, but led.
Led, preceded by it, shaped by it. I mean, think about it for a second. Before you say anything, even one word.
The thought is there first.
Exactly. Before you lift a finger to do something.
The intention, the idea.
The mind forms the intention. It
Yeah.
always goes first. And this is huge for understanding cause and effect, right? Because if the mind leads everything, then purifying it, making sure it's wholesome and clear, well, that's crucial for any kind of positive outcome.
Yeah.
It dictates what follows.
That's a really powerful concept, that the mind isn't just, part of the picture, but it's the leader, the one out front.
Precisely.
But, okay, if it's always leading, what does it do when it's just left to its own devices? Like, before we start trying to train it, is there a default setting? Ah, yes, the default setting. Before any training, the source describes the mind using another phrase, Idam pur satam akarikarikam.
Okay. Sounds descriptive.
It is. It paints this picture of a mind that just wanders, aimlessly, freely attaching itself to whatever grabs its attention through the senses.
So like reacting instantly.
Instantly. Your eye sees something pleasant, boom, the mind latches on, maybe with lobha, which we'd call greed or strong desire.
Right.
Your ear hears something unpleasant, wham, instant reaction, maybe with dosa, aversion, or anger.
And this applies to everything. Sights, sounds.
Everything. Sight, sounds, smells, tastes, physical sensations, even just thoughts themselves, purely mental stuff. This constant wandering, attaching, reacting,
Yeah.
this cycle of wanting this, pushing away that, that's the untrained mind's default mode. It just goes where it pleases.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical, I think.
Oh.
If our mind is that influential and, well, kind of prone to just bouncing around,
Yeah.
how do we actually get a handle on it? How do we even see what's really going on in there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer given is the practice of Sittanapassana.
Sittapasana. Yeah.
It means the repeated observation and analysis of your own mind, but specifically with wisdom. It's not just passive watching.
Okay, so it's active.
Very active. And this isn't some minor teaching. It's a cornerstone. It's laid out in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the main discourse on mindfulness.
Right.
And the source we're using gives this brilliant analogy. Think about looking in a mirror.
Okay.
You glance in the mirror to check your face, right? Maybe there's a smudge, or your hair's messy, or your collar's crooked. You see what's wrong and you fix it.
Makes sense.
Sittanapassana is like using the mirror of wisdom to look at your mind, to see its state clearly, identify the smudges, the crookedness, the defilements, and then take steps to purify it.
So it requires certain qualities to use this mirror properly.
Exactly. The source highlights 3 absolutely essential qualities. First, diligence. The Pali word is atapi. This isn't just casually thinking, oh, I should be mindful. It's persistent, earnest, active effort. Real exertion is needed.
Okay, so real effort. What else?
Second, clear comprehension. Sampajano. This is the ability to genuinely understand the mind's state right now. To know clearly, this is what's present.
Not just noticing, but understanding it.
Understanding it. And third, mindfulness. Sati. This is the crucial bit of keeping your attention on the mind itself, holding it there, gently but firmly, stopping it from just drifting off again.
Okay, diligence, clear comprehension, mindfulness.
Right. And through using these, you start to identify those mental impurities we talked about. You learn to ask and know the answer to, is there greed, raga, present in my mind right now, or is it absent? Is there anger, dosa, here or not? Is there delusion, moha, this lack of clarity, present or absent? Just knowing that, clearly seeing whether they're there or not, that's the vital first step.
That sounds incredibly revealing and maybe a bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
What actually happens when we start identifying these impurities, as you call them? What are the stakes?
Well, the stakes are high. According to the Watasa Sutta, which the Sayadaw references, it describes two really distinct states of mind, and their consequences are, well, they're far-reaching.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's what's called the defiled mind, the padutha sita. When your mind is stained, tainted by that greed, anger, or delusion.
The things we were just identifying.
Exactly. When those are active, the mind is described as being ugly or even disfigured. It's not functioning beautifully. And here's the kicker. Any actions, words you speak, things you do that come from that state of mind,
They lead to trouble.
they inevitably lead to negative results, to suffering for yourself and often for others too, not just now, but potentially, according to the teaching, in the future as well. The source uses another comparison. Holding on to a defiled mind is like insisting on wearing dirty, stained clothes all the time.
Right. It affects your well-being, how you feel, how others see you.
Precisely. It harms your inner health and your outer appearance in the world. But then there's the flip side.
The positive state.
Yes, the purified mind, the pasana sita. This is when wholesome qualities are dominant. Things like faith, sada, non-greed, alobha, loving-kindness, adosa, and importantly, wisdom, amoha.
So the opposites of the defilements.
Exactly the opposites. When these qualities are strong, the mind is clear, it's bright, it's faultless, and actions that arise from this kind of mind
They lead to good things.
directly to happiness, to positive results. They benefit you, they benefit others. The source gives examples like genuine acts of charity, sincere worship or spiritual practice, meditation. These flow from a purified mind.
It's such a clear distinction. Ugly mind, suffering. Purified mind, happiness. But it still sounds like a huge challenge, given that default tendency to wander and react. If our minds can be so prone to this ugliness, how do we actually train them? How do we get them to be clear and bring happiness instead of suffering?
It is a challenge, a big one. The text acknowledges this directly. The mind is difficult to control because, and here's another Pali phrase, papada smi ramati mano.
Okay.
It means the mind delights in falling, in wandering off towards objects. It likes to roam.
Like a disobedient kid, you said earlier.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Very hard to rein in. And the Sayadaw points out, look around the world. So many problems, conflicts, issues arise simply because people cannot control their minds. They act on impulse, on those defilements.
So it's difficult, but not impossible.
Not impossible, trainable. And the source gives this really vivid analogy for how we do it. Imagine the mind is like a wild elephant.
A wild elephant. Okay.
Yeah, crashing through the forest, totally untamed, used to going wherever it wants.
That sounds about right for my mind sometimes.
Right. Well, just like a skilled elephant trainer uses a special tool, an ankus, it's a type of hook to gradually guide and tame that wild elephant.
We need an ankus for the mind.
We need the ankus of wisdom. Pana, that's the tool we use to control our own wild mind.
Okay. Wisdom as the tool. How does that work in practice? Like when an angry thought comes up?
Good question. It's not just abstract. Let's say a strong thought of anger arises, maybe even wanting to lash out, to harm someone. Using the ankus of wisdom means you actively counter it with reflection. You think, wait, if I act on this, if I actually harm this person, well, someone might harm me in return. Is this outcome what I want?
So considering the consequences.
Yes. Or say a thought of wanting to steal something pops up. You use wisdom to reflect. How would I feel if someone stole my hard-earned possessions? Would I like that? You bring in empathy, self-reflection. It's about consciously using understanding to steer the mind away from those harmful impulses.
So it's an active redirection using understanding.
Absolutely. And the source mentions a couple of approaches to this taming. One is sort of gentle persuasion.
How does that work?
You reflect deeply on the suffering that uncontrolled minds inevitably cause, the stress, the conflict, the negative results. And you think about how avoiding that suffering by controlling the mind will directly benefit you. It's motivating yourself by understanding the downsides.
Okay, avoiding the negative.
Right. And then there's positive motivation. You reflect on how cultivating a good mind leads to all sorts of good things: prosperity, health, wisdom, respect, overall well-being. You can even look at successful ethical people and realize they often have very well-controlled, clear minds. That becomes an inspiration.
So using both the stick and the carrot, in a way.
Kind of, yeah. The goal always is to nudge the mind, guide it, bring it onto the right path, the wholesome path.
This really takes us deep into how the mind operates. And there was that fascinating bit in the source material you mentioned, an exchange between a divine being and the Buddha about controlling the mind. That seemed really significant.
Oh, absolutely. It's a crucial clarification. So this divine being comes to the Buddha and basically suggests, look, to avoid suffering, shouldn't we just restrain the mind from everything, just shut off all contact with sense objects and thoughts?
Like a total lockdown of the mind.
Pretty much. But the Buddha corrects this view, and this is really important. He says, no, you do not restrain all thoughts.
Okay, why not?
Because thoughts arising from wholesome roots like genuine faith, leading you to want to give charity or practice meditation or show respect, these thoughts are incredibly beneficial. They lead to good results. They should be encouraged, cultivated, not suppressed.
So it's selective restraint.
Exactly. You do restrain the thoughts that lead to unwholesome actions, the ones rooted in greed, anger, delusion, thinking about stealing, harming, deceiving. Those are the ones that must be stopped, controlled with wisdom. The mind only needs restraining when it turns towards the negative, the harmful. Otherwise, let the good thoughts flourish.
That makes so much more sense. It's not about shutting down, but about guiding.
Precisely. Guiding, not just blocking. And the source goes even further, detailing 3 fundamental characteristics of the mind itself. Understanding these helps us work with it.
Okay, what are they?
First, the mind is far-ranging. The Pali is Durangamum.
Far-ranging.
Yeah, meaning it can travel vast distances in thought almost instantly. You could be sitting right here, but your mind is vividly picturing, say, Tokyo or the Amazon rainforest.
Right, we all do that.
We all do it. It's not that your mind physically leaves your body, but its object, its focus can be incredibly far away.
Okay, far-ranging. What's second?
Second, and this one is really mind-bending, the mind is solitary.
Ekakaram.
Solitary, meaning it's alone.
Meaning it experiences only one object at any single moment in time. Just one.
But wait, that doesn't feel right. Like watching TV, I see the picture and hear the sound at the same time. Or listening to music while reading.
It feels simultaneous, doesn't it? But according to this teaching, the mind is actually switching between the visual object and the auditory object incredibly rapidly. So fast, we don't perceive the switching.
Wow, really?
Yeah. The analogy used is like someone waving a lit torch or a stick with a glowing end really fast in the dark.
It looks like a circle of fire.
Exactly. It looks like a continuous circle, but it's actually just one point of light moving very, very quickly. Our mind is like that with sense inputs or thoughts. It takes them one by one, but the speed creates the illusion of simultaneous processing.
That really changes how you think about experience. We think we're multitasking masters.
But the Buddha's insight was that the mind is actually a hyper-fast single tasker, ekakaram, solitary in its focus moment by moment.
Okay. Far-ranging, solitary. It's the third.
Third, the mind is formless, asorium.
Formless, meaning?
It has no physical shape, no substance. You can't touch it, see it, weigh it. It's not a physical thing. It relies entirely on the physical sense bases, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind base itself to connect with objects in the world. It perceives through them, but it isn't made of matter itself.
So it's not located in the brain, necessarily. From this perspective, it's more that it arises in dependence on the physical structures, but it isn't identical to them. It's formless, intangible.
Wow. Okay, so we have this far-ranging, solitary, formless mind capable of being defiled or purified, needing wisdom to be tamed. Putting all that together, what's the ultimate prize? What's the big payoff for actually disciplining it?
The ultimate outcome, the profound benefit explained in the source, is liberation. Specifically, liberation from what are called the maras.
Maras, like demons.
Not exactly demons in the Western sense, more like fundamental obstacles, fetters, or forces that bind us to suffering. The text says that those who truly discipline and purify their minds are freed from them.
Okay, what are these maras?
There's Kilesamara, the fetters of the mental defilements themselves, greed, anger, delusion. Mastering the mind means freedom from their tyranny.
Right, the internal enemies.
Exactly. Then there's Abhisankaramara, the fetters of karma, specifically the volitional actions, the intentions, that create future consequences and bind us to cycles of rebirth and suffering. Purifying the mind purifies intention.
Okay, breaking the karmic chains.
In essence, yes. And finally, Makumara, the fetters of death itself, overcoming the cycle of birth and death. The ultimate teaching here is that by gaining mastery over your mind, you can achieve complete freedom from all suffering. You can attain nibbana nirvana, the state of ultimate peace, the cessation of all suffering, a happiness beyond our usual understanding.
Nibbana. That's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal. Freedom from the maras, attainment of nibbana.
And how do those core practices you mentioned earlier fit into achieving this?
Yeah.
The generosity, morality, meditation.
Yes. They are the practical tools, the active ways we use that ankus of wisdom to purify the mind and weaken the maras. Think of generosity, Dana. When you give freely without expecting return, what are you doing?
You're letting go of attachment, of wanting to hold on.
Precisely. You are actively removing greed, loha, and cultivating its opposite, non-greed, aloha. The Source compares it to light dispelling darkness. The moment generosity arises, greed has to recede.
Okay. What about morality, sila?
Sila involves following ethical guidelines, the precepts like not killing, not stealing, not lying, and so on. When you consciously refrain from harmful actions, you are directly combating anger, aversion, dosa.
How so?
Well, to choose not to harm someone, even when provoked, requires cultivating the opposite patience, forbearance, loving-kindness, adosa. The Source emphasizes that upholding these principles inherently involves compassion and thinking about others' well-being. It directly counters anger and ill will.
Right. It builds positive quality.
Yes. And finally, meditation or mental cultivation, havana. This is the most direct tool for tackling the third root defilement, delusion, moha.
How does meditation do that?
Through practices like mindfulness, like siddhanupassana, you are continuously observing the mind's arising and passing states. You see impermanence, you see suffering, you see the selfless nature of phenomena. This direct seeing cultivates wisdom, amoha, which cuts through ignorance and delusion. You are actively training the mind to see clearly.
So Dana tackles greed, sila tackles anger, bhavana tackles delusion.
That's a good summary. They work together, using that ankus of wisdom to transform that wild, untamed mind into a disciplined, refined, liberated one. That's the path towards enlightenment laid out here.
This deep dive really brings it home, doesn't it? That the continuous mindful observation and purification of our own minds that Siddhanupassana practice isn't just some esoteric idea. It's a really profound and practical path to genuine well-being and ultimately to freedom.
It really is. It puts the power and the responsibility squarely back onto our own awareness, our own effort.
Yeah. It's not just ancient philosophy locked away in texts. It feels like a usable blueprint for navigating, well, for navigating the complexities of our own inner worlds today.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave with everyone listening. We regularly check our reflection in a mirror, don't we? To make sure our hair is okay, our clothes look presentable.
Sure, most of us do.
But how often do we really pause and look into the mirror of our mind? How often do we check its skate with that same level of diligence?
Probably not nearly as often.
Right. So what might you discover? About yourself, about how your experience is actually constructed moment by moment if you started observing your thoughts, your emotions, just as carefully as you observe your physical reflection.
That's a really powerful question to sit with. As you go about your day, maybe just consider these insights. Think about the potential for real transformation that could come just from understanding and intentionally working with this incredible power you have, the power of your own mind.